Storytime punching bag. I never believed in monsters until that night. The night I was supposed to go to my neighbors and stay the night. We had planned it months before, and I wanted to go, but when the day came, I felt weird about it. There wasn't any real reason for me to feel the way I was feeling, but I couldn't shake it. I decided to listen to my gut, and it's the only reason I'm still here, because what happened in that house was truly the stuff of nightmares. I woke up in the middle of the night to my phone going off over and over. When I answered, my neighbor was whispering, and his voice was panicked. He told me there was someone in the house, and he begged me to call 911. I would have thought it was a prank, but then I heard something in the background that felt like a punch to the gut. My neighbor's little sister was screaming with a desperation that couldn't be faked. I immediately called 911 and waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but after 20 minutes I felt like I had to do something, so I went over to my neighbor's house. From the outside everything seemed quiet and all of the lights were off. I had no idea what had happened inside, so I just went in through the basement. It was so dark I couldn't see anything, and when I bumped into my neighbor's punching bag hanging from the ceiling, I almost screamed. I searched for the light, and when I turned it on, instantly, I knew why my neighbor's little sister had been screaming the way she was. The thing I bumped into, turns out it wasn't a punching bag. Storytime trunk. I got the worst phone call of my life yesterday, and now I don't know what I should do. This whole nightmare started yesterday when I got home later than I expected to. My mom had a huge attitude because she had somewhere to go and I was late with the car. I tried really hard to get her to take a cab or walk. I even offered to just drop her off, but she wasn't having any of it. I tried to keep calm on the outside as I watched my mom hop in the driver's seat and pull out of the driveway. On the inside I thought my heart was going to jump out of my chest. I waited for hours, but my mom still hadn't come back. With every minute that passed I got more and more nervous, and then I got the call that has single-handedly ruined my life and all of the hard work I've done over the last 5 years. My mother had been in an accident and it was bad. The officer on the phone explained that my mother had been rushed to the nearest hospital and the car would be towed. I rushed over to the scene and felt a wave of relief when I laid eyes on the car. Both cars only had damage on their fronts. I stood there on the side of the road with this sickening feeling in my stomach, just waiting for something to go wrong, but nothing did. The tow truck came, hooked up the car, and lifted it without anything major going wrong. It hasn't happened yet, but I know it will. And when it does, what am I supposed to do? I can maybe blame it on my mother if she doesn't make it, but what if she does make it? Should I just run now? It's only a matter of time before someone smells the body in the trunk. Storytime key. Does it ever scare you that you meet new people every day and you have no idea what they're capable of? It should. I never understood how we know so much about the world and the things that are possible, but we're still so trusting. I'm always fascinated when I'm alone with someone and they can't feel it. They have absolutely no idea that they're alone with a predator. Of course they realize it at some point, but by then it's always too late. Like this guy Jeff I met at a party. He weirdly looks for and accepts the good in people. Stupid if you ask me. Anyway, I invited Jeff over to my place one day, and he actually agreed. His first mistake, but it wasn't his last, or his worst. When Jeff got to my place, I knew right away that he was going to make everything I had planned for the night too easy. I pretended to put myself in handcuffs and get out of them. Jeff was amazed and did exactly what I wanted him to. He asked me to teach him how I got out of the handcuffs. I watched and smiled as he slipped the handcuffs over his wrists and closed them tight. That would be his worst and final mistake. When we made eye contact, he knew I was dangerous, and he knew he was never leaving. I always think it's so funny how that works out. With pleading eyes, Jeff begged me to let him go. He even asked for a key. Of course I had plans to take the cuffs off, but I certainly wouldn't be using a key. Storytime. I still hear it. I used to have this friend, Jessica, in high school that always took things too far. At first I thought she was just extra or impulsive, but now I think she's evil. Jessica always used to do things that no one else thought was funny, like the one time she used the bathroom in a bottle and let a girl drink it, or the other time she sent us all presents that had bedbugs in them. I knew she was a little off, and honestly I never really liked hanging out with her, but I never thought she could be dangerous. The last time I hung out with Jessica, all hell broke loose and I was left traumatized and forever changed. There were 4 of us just hanging out at my place when Jessica decided to pick on one of the other girls. Jessica made some rude comment about the sweater our other friend, Alex, was wearing. Alex didn't even miss a beat and told Jessica no one cared. Then Alex said something that she really shouldn't have said. Looking right at Jessica, Alex said, "That's why your mother left. You know, because she doesn't care either." The room got completely quiet, and as I looked over at Jessica, it was as if I could see something snapping. We all held our breath waiting for Jessica to respond, but she never did. A couple hours later we were all hanging out and having a a good time, so I thought it was over with. I think we all thought it was over, and that was a mistake we would all regret deeply. Jessica seemed fine and randomly announced that she wanted to make cookies. We all thought it was a great idea and made our way to the kitchen. When we got there, I was super confused by the dirty dishes in the sink because I had just loaded the dishwasher. I put it out of my mind as I watched Alex make her way over to the sink. I heard Jessica tell Alex she thought a spoon fell in the drain. Everything happened so fast I didn't have time to stop it. I looked up at Jessica just in time to see a smile of pure evil spread across her face. I tried to shout for Alex, but it was too late. As Alex had her hand in the drain looking for the spoon, Jessica reached over and turned on the garbage disposal. The screams of pain mixed with laughter and crunching. I still hear it. Storytime finish it. I, 22, female, am living an actual nightmare. I recently began living on my own after being an orphan for as long as I can remember. I realized really quickly I couldn't afford it, so I thought it made sense to find a roommate. But now, I think I've made the biggest mistake of my life. I got a lot of interest, but there was this one lady, Nina, who caught my attention. She is older than me, so I figured she would be quiet and she was able to pay 5 months of rent in advance. Nina moved in about a month ago, but now I'm terrified and I want her to leave. Everything started out fine. We were getting along well, and she followed my rules, but then one day I realized she felt familiar. I didn't really recognize her face, but whenever we were together it felt like we had spent time together before. At first I thought it was great that I was so comfortable around her. Now I'm horrified that I actually liked her. We were both in the kitchen one night when she asked me to grab the butter from the fridge. I happily grabbed it, handed it to her, and what she said as she took it from me set off every single alarm bell in my head. I tried to act natural and walk away, but inside I was panicking. Now I'm locked in my bathroom, and I don't know what to do. When I handed Nina the butter, she said, "Thanks so much, Bugsy." I still can't believe it because I haven't heard that name in years. Bugsy is the nickname I got from my old babysitter, the same babysitter that slaughtered my entire family and was never found. She thought she got me too, but I survived. And now, I think she knows that I know. What if she's waiting right outside of the bathroom door? What if she's here to finish it? Storytime knob. This is my second year of college, and I'm pretty sick of all these dramatic girls. I've tried for a whole year to make friends, and it never works out. Our relationships are always fine as long as we are doing what they want to do. I thought Carly was different since she always wanted to stay inside and do low-key things. We spent almost 2 months hanging out every day, and it seemed like we were really going to be best friends. But everything just turned into an absolute nightmare. I think the problem started when Carly started talking to other girls. Suddenly she was too busy to do things with me, and she wouldn't answer my phone calls. One time I was watching her through the window and decided to give her a call. I watched in horror as she looked down at her phone, paused for a second, and then hung up. I couldn't believe it, but Carly was being worse than all of the other girls I had tried to be friends with. I finally decided enough was enough, and I invited Carly over so we could talk about everything. I really didn't want things to end on a bad note. When she came over it almost felt like I was bothering her, and she really didn't want to be there. I tried offering her some water, and she wouldn't take it. She didn't even want to sit down. I just wanted everything to be okay, so I apologized even though I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. That seemed to make it a little better, but then Carly said something I was never prepared to hear. She didn't want to be my friend anymore. I told her that was okay, but I just wanted her to come with me to grab a gift I got for her. She didn't even hesitate and started following me to my room. On my dresser was a really pretty box wrapped up and tied with a bow. Like every single one of my friends before her, she walked right by me, went into the room, and grabbed the box. I closed the door behind her, sat by the door, and listened. They always let out the best screams when they realize there's no doorknob.